So, Your Grace, thank you so much for this opportunity. And just wanted to ask you, have you been able to do some talks through Zoom over even the past year since COVID?
Yeah, sure. I've done a number of talks through Zoom. I mean, I've done it for Legatus, for Couples for Christ. Like I did an Into the Deep. I've done a few things.
Okay.
Sometimes they've been pre-recorded,
Oh, I see.
so that they're not. And what they do, like for the uh, yeah, they've been pre-recorded. And then you go live for the question and answers.
Okay. And what would
Yeah.
be your favorite part of that whole presentation?
Oh, I think I like good questions so that I can give good answers.
That's fantastic. What would be an encouraging aspect about doing it through Zoom?
I think Will Zoom enables you to meet lots of people. They don't have to come out. They don't have to park. I mean, there's lots of, they can be in there. Well, they can have their slippers on. Uh, and, I've been at talks where people, they're drinking wine and so on. It's a more relaxed, environment. It's not like attending mass where you really kind of hope that people are, in fact, prepared for that.
Sure.
And of course it reaches people that otherwise would not be able to share in the experience.
Thank you. What would be in an aspect of participating through Zoom where you'd have to listen to a speaker yourself? What would be some of your challenges
I,
in that?
I, I think when I have to listen, it's just the idea that it can't be, if it gets too long. I've been on meetings sometimes when there's 4 or 5 hours a day. I do find Zoom fatigue. So a good thing is, if you want to pay attention to a talk at night, don't Zoom too much during the day. Try to,
Right.
because it is hard looking at a screen that long, and concentration.
I have
Mhm.
to say that I just right now love your background because even if I lost attention in something you might have said, you have such a great background. I could get distracted by it.
There's too much in the background, but on the far wall is the Raphael, uh, loaves of the miraculous catch of fish. It's one of the tapestries of the Vatican. And
Yeah.
then there's other things. There's the Velasquez crucifixion. You can see our Lord's the bottom half of his body, and that this is from this one belongs to the archdiocese.
Oh wow.
It's it's a church, and the guy's name is kind of a well-known BC artist. It was given to us, um, uh, but it's in my office, but it's not mine. The other stuff is mine.
That's great.
This is Archdiocesan Treasury.
Right. How about you, Father Felix? Any thought or question for His Grace?
I'm pretty sure, Your Grace, you've gone through lots of challenges in not meeting people in person. I know that
Just
from my
like everybody.
yeah, and in my own experience, you are such a people person that you love being with other people. What kind of was the most challenging part, in the midst of this pandemic, in not being able to meet people as much? What
Yeah.
would be your, yeah, the
Yeah,
most
I
challenging?
think I think you put your finger right on it, Father. It really is not being able to meet and be with people in
Mhm.
what was just an ordinary way. Now it's beginning to seem extraordinary, but I do miss that, and I think being able to celebrate the sacraments. I celebrated some confirmations, of course, in the fall, but they were 8 or 10.
Right.
There was no celebration. Where was all that awful red icing that they put on those confirmation cakes? It wasn't there,
Mhm.
and so it is. It's a hardship, I think, for everybody. Lack of
Mhm.
contact for priests. We feel it with respect to the faithful. I know lots of grandparents who feel it with respect to their grandkids and so on. And the social distancing is a trial, and I
Mhm.
pray that soon that we'll be back to normal. Those who are vaccinated, apparently 2 weeks afterwards,
Mhm.
they're ready to go,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a blessing. So,
Mhm.
but Zoom, thank goodness that we have it. It's proved to be a great blessing for live stream masses, for
Mhm.
being able to continue catechesis. We had a university mass, and there were a couple of weeks ago, and then afterwards they had question and answer. They were able to break it so that, I don't know, people put their questions into the chat room, and then somebody reads them out. It was a lot of that. That's sort of fun.
Yeah.
So with that, then, Your Grace, what could you say to parishioners as to encouraging them to attend?
I think it'll be an opportunity to begin the celebration of the year of the family during the year of St. Joseph. So I think you get a double whammy.
Right.
And St. Joseph is, certainly the quiet one in the Gospels. He doesn't say a single word, but the Pope's recent letter on St. Joseph, the Heart of the Father, really has a wonderful outline of the, I guess we'd call it the great lessons, the teaching of Joseph that he can, if we think about him in light of the Church's tradition. There's a lot that he can tell us about. How am I supposed to live my life? What does the Lord want me to do? He's not a complicated figure, but we can draw a lot out from him. And I think it's the opportunity to get to know Joseph. He's the patron of our country, patron of the Universal Church, patron of the dying. We guys need a patron because he's kind of a patron in a special way attached to men and manly virtue. So it's an opportunity for people maybe to think a little bit about great St. Joseph.
That's great.
And Your Grace, I just had a question. When I
Sure.
saw the topic that you're going to present, it was quite fitting that you chose, learning discipleship from St. Joseph.
Right.
But in your own personal life, what were some of St. Joseph's significance in your own life?
Well, I went to a high school called St. Joseph's. So for 5 years, we sang Hail, Holy Joseph, Hail. And he was, a great influence. It's awfully, but I think that the notion that he was, that this was a man who was a protector, and that men have a particular vocation of being guardians or protectors. That might not be as common today, but I think it's something true that, and Joseph, I think, is a great one for that. I also have, just on the other side of my computer, you can't see it, but I have a sleeping Joseph. That's on my actually Bishop Joseph Nguyen gave to me maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and underneath it you can put a little stickum with the initials of the intention that you want. I don't want to, in case somebody ever picks it up, I don't want the intention spelled out. It's usually initials of priests, and they're commended to Saint Joseph. Yeah, it's and I've been, of course, to the oratory in Montreal. The one thing about St. Joseph that is in the tradition that's a little less enthusiastic about is they portray him always as an old man. Our high school statute had him as a young guy. It was, he was carrying an adze or whatever that thing is, and he was kind of vigorous and strong, and he wasn't old. I have something in front of me now that it's a Murillo, very well known. You've probably seen this. It's in the Columbia edition that I got today, and it's a very traditional picture. But he's more like his granddaddy. There were reasons in the tradition for that one can talk about, but there's actually no historical reason to think that he could have been a teenager like Mary. We don't know.
Right. So that actually is a great segue to say that many people should come to the talk and be encouraged to learn not only more about Saint Joseph, but to be able to maybe draw in a great devotion, which they may have had before.
Yeah, no, I think Joseph is, all saints are worthy. They all they're all little icons of the gospel. They're all little images. No saint. We need lots of saints. No saint. And I think there are some characteristics about Joseph. I mean, I think there's a sense of solidity, of strength, of quiet, meditative, and protecting. He had a lot of protecting to do, not just on the way to Egypt, but protecting a family in a rough town like Nazareth. I mean, this guy was not a wimp. So I think there's Joseph can help us on our own little journeys.
I don't know if I'm going to speak for Father Felix, Your Grace, but he's always given to the occasional brief nap. And, St. Joseph is always caught sleeping in the gospel.
Well, that's why I have my sleeping Joseph over there. He's right down there. He's on a pillow. Yeah, he is. I think it's an image that became popular in the Philippines not that long ago, maybe 15 years ago. The sleeping Joseph. I have one here and I have one at home. I ended up with two of them.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Your Grace.
Thank you, Father. I look forward to being with your